In our headlines on this Monday, December 29th, here in South Korea, the top office returns to Cheongwade after 3 years and 7 months at Yongsan, and President Lee Jae-myung begins his first day of official work at the Blue House today. Meanwhile, in yet another blatant display of defiance, North Korea test fires long-range strategic cruise missiles over the West Sea this past Sunday in the presence of its leader, Kim Jong-un. And Coupang founder Kim Bum-seok issues his first public apology for the massive leak of personal data and vows to accelerate a compensation package of almost 1.7 trillion won for over 33 million users. President Lee Jae-myung began his first day of official work at Cheongwade on this Monday, following the top office's return to the Blue House from Yongsan in 3 years and 7 months. Our correspondent Yoon Jung-min reports.
It was an unusual scene on Monday morning to witness a president clocking in for work. Wearing a three-colored tie representing national unity, President Lee Jae-myung made his first commute to the Blue House since taking office, having relocated his office from Yongsan. His supporters were waving flags and calling out his name outside, and his senior aides waited for him to arrive. On the stroke of midnight, the symbolic presidential flag, bearing a pair of phoenixes, was raised at Cheongwade, also known as the Blue House. With that, it has restored its name and status as the nation's top office. Upon arrival, he met aides over tea, where he was briefed on this year's exports and investment by foreigners, expected to be record highs, as well as the launch of a task force against transnational online scam crimes. He also visited the National Crisis Management Center, located underground, asking for thorough defense readiness 24/7 to protect the lives of the people. The president will mostly stay at the Yeomingwan building rather than the main office building for close communication with his senior aides and staff.
With the return to the Blue House, we will show the Lee Jae-myung-style pragmatism that prioritizes transparency and competency, restores communication with the public, and renews the status as a global pillar of diplomacy and defense.
Lee will commute to and from work for the time being until the renovation of the official residence is completed. In 2022, former President Yoon Suk-yeol relocated the nation's top office to the building used by the Defense Ministry in Yongsan, where he declared martial law last year. President Lee has vowed to end the Yongsan era and focus on state affairs at the traditional presidential compound for the remainder of his term.
The office vowed to bolster communication with the public, apparently with criticism in mind that the place is symbolic of a lack of communication. In the long term, the president plans to relocate the office to the administrative city of Sejong. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, a solemn ceremony to mark 1 year since the December 29th Jeju Air plane crash took place earlier on this Monday. Memorial sirens rang across Gwangju and South Jeolla province at precisely 3 minutes after 9 in the morning today. The main memorial event began at 10 a.m. at Muan International Airport, with over 1,000 attendees, including bereaved families, senior government officials, lawmakers, and members of the public. President Lee Jae-myung shared his condolences and a sincere apology in a video message, and vowed a thorough investigation into the crash and comprehensive support for the bereaved families. 179 out of the 181 people on board lost their lives when the Jeju Air plane struck a concrete structure during an emergency landing attempt. In other news, the special counsel team probing corruption allegations against former First Lady Kim Keon Hee disclosed its findings today. According to Special Prosecutor Min Chung-gi, Kim received expensive gifts and was extensively involved in personnel appointments and election nominations. The former First Lady has been indicted on 9 criminal charges, including political interference, accepting valuables, and stock price manipulation. Kim's defense team, in a statement, maintained that these findings will ultimately be judged in court, adding that she will fully cooperate with the trial process as a lower court ruling is scheduled for January 28th This latest probe marks the end of the 3 special investigations launched this past summer, including that into former President Yoon Suk-yeol's martial law declaration and another into the death of a Marine during a flood relief operation. The Yi administration has tapped a former opposition lawmaker to take the reins of the newly established Ministry of Planning and Budget. Not only is the nomination making headlines, but also the nominee's pledge to take tangible action against South Korea's grey rhino risks. Our correspondent Kim Do-yeon explains.
The nation's economy in the short term is facing a perfect storm due to inflation and the weak Korean won. That's the view of the nominee for South Korea's newly created Minister of Planning and Budget, Lee Hae-hun. Lee faced the media for the first time on Monday as she starts her confirmation process. And in her long-term diagnosis, Lee says the nation has been ignoring its threats.
I view the 5 major issues we are concerned about: the demographic crisis, the climate crisis, extreme polarization, the rapid transformation of industry and technology, and regional extinction as a grey rhino situation. These are dangers we are all aware of and have long been warned about, yet they become fatal threats when ignored or neglected.
To tackle these grey rhino risks, the nominee argued that the government must fundamentally change how it operates. She stressed that the current method of short-term resource allocation is insufficient for solving complex, long-term problems. Instead, he proposed a systematic shift where fiscal strategy is tightly coupled with forward-looking policy planning.
We need an approach that links planning with budgeting. It is not about allocating funds on a short-term, case-by-case basis, but rather a method where planning and the budget are synchronized with a vision for the future.
This policy is a driving force behind the government's latest restructuring. Under a reorganization bill set to take effect in January, the massive Ministry of Economy and Finance will be split into 2 separate entities. The existing body will retain its focus on immediate policy execution and tax affairs. The new Ministry of Planning and Budget, which Lee has been tapped to lead, will be established under the Prime Minister's office. Its specific mandate is to function as a control tower for mid to long-term national strategy, ensuring that budget outlays are investing in future growth engines rather than just covering current costs. The nomination by President Lee Jae-myung came as a surprise. Lee Hae-hun is a former 3-term lawmaker from the main opposition conservative bloc and has been vocal against President Lee. The presidential office described the appointment as a symbol of unity and pragmatism. Officials explained that given the severe economic volatility, the administration prioritized expertise and legislative experience over political background, noting that the economy has no room for partisan division. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Across the border, in yet another blatant display of defiance, North Korea test-fired long-range strategic cruise missiles this past Sunday in the presence of its leader, Kim Jong-un. Our foreign affairs correspondent Oh Soo-young follows this latest development.
North Korea carried out a long-range strategic cruise missile launch drill over the West Sea, marking its second missile provocation in less than a week, with leader Kim Jong-un observing. The North state-run Korean Central News Agency says Sunday's launch involved flying long-range strategic cruise missiles over the West Sea airspace for about 2 hours and 50 minutes before their targets were hit. KCNA said the drill was intended to check the counter-strike readiness and combat capability of the North strategic weapons. Kim Jong-un, who watched the drill on site, reportedly conveyed his satisfaction. He said regularly checking the reliability and responsiveness of nuclear forces and continuing to demonstrate the power is an exercise of self-defense. He added that the regime would continue to focus all efforts on strengthening its nuclear combat capabilities. South Korea's military said it had indeed detected several missiles launched from the North Sunan area in Pyongyang at around 8 a.m. on Sunday, adding that North Korea could carry out additional missile tests around the year-end period. This comes just 4 days after North Korea test-fired a long-range surface-to-air missile over the East Sea on the 24th. Experts say with the ruling party's 9th Congress set for early next year, Pyongyang appears to be highlighting its military achievements.
For the 8th Party Congress, North Korea has introduced 2 development plan. One of them is the 5-year plan for the defense development, and especially they emphasize 5 strategic weapons. So this long-range cruise missile is one of the 5 strategic weapons.
It also looks like an external message as speculations continue over whether Kim could meet with US President Donald Trump to resume their face-to-face diplomacy, which broke down in 2019.
Of course, this is also a message to the United States, and this so-called strategic missile means that it can have this nuclear warhead. So this is one of the many attempts by the North Korea that they are the de facto nuclear weapon state, and they have no intention to give up any kind of their nuclear weapons. Instead, they wanted to have a nuclear arms reduction talks.
Seoul officials are hoping for a window for dialogue with North Korea early next year, especially around the time when President Trump is expected to visit Beijing in April. Oh Si-young, Arirang News.
E-commerce platform Coupang has unveiled a comprehensive package of almost 1.7 trillion won for over 33 million of its users in response to the recent leak of their personal data. Our Kim Keon Hee has the latest.
Following a massive personal data breach in November, e-commerce giant Coupang on Monday announced a compensation plan worth around 1.68 trillion Korean won. That is around 1.17 billion US dollars. Under the plan, Coupang will provide 50,000 won discount coupons per person to 33.7 million customers. This will include all Coupang WOW members, regular users, and former members who have withdrawn from the services. The compensation payments will be made gradually starting January 15th next year. The purchase coupons consist of those usable in each of Coupang's services. 5,000 won for Coupang, 5,000 for Coupang Eats, the food delivery service, 20,000 for Coupang's travel products, Coupang Travel, and another 20,000 for our Lux luxury beauty and fashion products. All services except Coupang Eats are available through the Coupang app to both WOW members and regular members. Coupang Eats requires downloading the separate food delivery app. Users who previously withdrew from Coupang must rejoin the platform in order to use the vouchers. Coupang's interim chief executive officer Harold Rogers said in a press release that taking this incident as a turning point, Coupang will embrace customer-centric principles and fulfill its responsibilities to the very end, transforming into a company that customers can trust. The announcement of the compensation plan follows an apology issued by Coupang founder Kim Keon-seok on Sunday, marking his first public apology regarding the data breach. In a written public statement that came out nearly a month after the breach was first made public, Kim said he was deeply sorry for the inadequate initial response and lack of communication, but has also notified that he will not attend the Joint National Assembly hearing scheduled to begin on Tuesday. Kim Keon, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, Samsung Electronics and SK hynix have been spearheading some of the more remarkable rallies on the local bourse this year amid global demand for AI-related chips. Our correspondent Park Junan covers their stellar performance.
South Korea's tech leaders, Samsung Electronics and SK hynix, saw significant rises in sales and their stock prices in 2025, both breaking their own all-time records. This was due to the company's solid performances in meeting strong global demand for AI chips.
Even with enough money, it has become difficult to secure semiconductors, as supply and demand instability is expected to persist for some time. With the outlook for semiconductor exports remaining highly optimistic, prices are rising and volumes are increasing, meaning both pricing and volume factors are continuing to strengthen.
As of Monday, Samsung Electronics has seen a remarkable 123.8% increase in its share price year-to-date. Monday's record was also the highest market and value recorded in the company's history. SK hynix, Korea's second-largest company, saw even stronger growth this year, elevating its value by a whopping 273.8%. The momentum behind AI has significantly fueled demand for a dynamic random access memory, or DRAM chips.
According to Counterpoint Research's Memory Market Tracker and Forecast Report, SK hynix and Samsung Electronics ranked as the top two global producers of memory chips in the third quarter of 2025, with a combined estimated 67% of the worldwide DRAM market.
AI memory has become the key. As AI memory grows more critical within AI semiconductors, supply and demand imbalances are pushing tech giants to secure memory chips early. This trend suggests memory chip prices are likely to keep rising.
With the AI cycle and momentum still alive, investors are placing major bets on expectations of further upside movements of the two stocks. If the benchmark Kospi reaches 5,000 next year, the performances of Samsung and SK could play a significant role in realizing that ambitious goal. Park Jun-an, Arirang News.
On the diplomatic front, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says 90% of the 20-point peace plan against Russian aggression has been agreed. The remark was made after talks in Florida this past weekend with his U.S. host Donald Trump, who echoed the optimism. Our Lee Seung-jae has the latest.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy said they made significant progress toward a potential peace agreement to end the war in Ukraine, following talks held at Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida on Sunday. Trump said discussions with Zelenskyy and a separate 2-hour phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin brought negotiations very close to a deal, estimating that roughly 90 to 95% of key issues have been addressed.
We had a terrific meeting. We discussed a lot of things. As you know, I had an excellent phone call with President Putin that lasted for over 2 hours. We discussed a lot of points, and I do think we're getting a lot closer, maybe very close.
He emphasized that while major progress has been made over the past month, several thorny issues remain unresolved, including territorial and security arrangements. President Zelenskyy said Ukraine and the U.S. agreed on most elements of a 20-point peace framework, including full agreement on U.S. security guarantees for Ukraine and military provisions. He said broader U.S., European, and Ukrainian security guarantees are close to completion, and a post-war prosperity plan is being finalized.
And we discussed all the aspects of the peace framework, which includes, and we have great achievements, 20-point peace plan, 90% agreed, and U.S.-Ukraine security guarantees, 100% agreed. U.S.-Europe-Ukraine security guarantees, almost agreed. Military dimension, 100% agreed.
Both leaders stressed that security guarantees are essential for lasting peace. The two leaders also held a joint call with European leaders, including representatives from NATO and the European Union, and agreed that negotiating teams will meet in the coming weeks. Trump said he plans to host follow-up talks in Washington in January. He added that discussions with Putin included Russia's role in Ukraine's reconstruction, stating that Russia would help and could supply energy and electricity at low cost. However, he confirmed that Russia has not agreed to a ceasefire, citing Putin's concern about halting fighting and potentially restarting it later. On timing, Trump said a deal could be reached within weeks if talks continue positively, but acknowledged there is also a chance negotiations could fail. Both leaders concluded by reaffirming their commitment to continued negotiations, with Trump saying he remains focused on ending the war. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Up next, we tell you about a temple stay with a twist currently under a pilot program here that seeks to balance the art of meditation with the sport of curling. Our An Sung-jin files this report following a first-hand experience.
Along Korea's east coast, overlooking the East Sea, Naksansa Temple has long drawn visitors seeking a pause from everyday life, a place for retreat and reflection.
Whenever I feel down, I often return to temple stays because they offer some healing and a chance to look at the natural landscape.
Since it's the end of the year, I wanted to wrap up the year well, stepping away from everyday life, so I came here with a friend.
Naksansa's temple stay program includes a guided tour of the temple grounds and the iconic 해수관음상, a statue gazing out toward the sea. Visitors can also take part in traditional meditation programs such as tea meditation, which emphasizes mindfulness through ritual, and singing bowl meditation, known for its calming vibrations. But this winter, Naksansa Temple is offering something entirely new. Now, the Naksansa Temple stay has gone beyond a conventional stay, creating a unique curling temple stay that combines the excitement of winter sports with a traditional monastic experience. Curling, often described as chess on ice, shares similarities with meditation in that they both bring the mind into focus while caring for the body.
It's thrilling and fun, especially sliding across the ice, even though it's a bit slippery. Through this temple stay, I got to try curling, visit the temple, and meet so many new people.
The initiative aims to broaden the appeal of temple stays while offering a fresh way to explore balance, focus, and teamwork beyond the meditation hall.
As temple stays become increasingly connected with the wellness industry, we're also expanding our programs in partnership with the local community. Our goal is to design programs that allow participants to truly experience the temple culture and take time to rest.
Naksansa Temple is redefining what a temple stay can be. The temple's new program invites visitors to discover balance in an unexpected place, where Buddhist philosophy meets winter sports. An Song-jin, Arirang News, Sokcho.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. We start in Suriname, where a brutal knife attack has left 9 people dead, including 5 children. Police officials say a 43-year-old suspect targeted his own children and neighbors who tried to intervene. The attack on the outskirts of the capital Paramaribo on Sunday reportedly followed a phone argument with the suspect's estranged wife after she refused to pick up the children. Authorities arrested the suspect after he attempted to attack responding officers. He remains under hospital care for injuries sustained during the arrest. While Suriname traditionally has low crime rates, the national homicide rate saw a sharp spike to 30 per 100,000 residents in 2024, according to Inside Crime. In the United States, a mid-air collision between 2 helicopters over New Jersey has killed 1 pilot and left another in critical condition. The Federal Aviation Administration reports that an Enstrom F-28A and an Enstrom 280C collided over Hamilton Municipal Airport and crashed at approximately 11:25 on Sunday morning. The pilots were the only people on board each helicopter. Local authorities and the National Transportation Safety Board are now investigating, focusing on whether the pilots were able to see and avoid each other. Weather officials said visibility was good at the time of the crash. Thailand and Cambodia have signed a new ceasefire agreement seeking to end weeks of border fighting that killed more than 100 people and displaced over 500,000 people. The deal was signed on Saturday and confirmed Sunday as top diplomats from both countries met in China for follow-up talks. The agreement includes a 72-hour observation period, after which Thailand has agreed to repatriate 18 captured Cambodian soldiers. French cinema legend and animal rights activist Brigitte Bardot died Sunday at her home in southern France at the age of 91. A representative of the Brigitte Bardot Foundation confirmed her death and said no cause was given, but that she had been hospitalized last month. Bardot rose to global fame in the 1950s and 60s, becoming a symbol of French cinema and cultural change before retiring from film in 1973. She later devoted her life to animal protection, campaigning worldwide against animal cruelty. President Emmanuel Macron paid tribute to the late star, calling her an exceptional woman and a legend of French culture. Chu Ji-han, Arirang News.
Rain clouds gradually moved away this afternoon, only to be replaced by a blanket of fine dust in the skies. Ultrafine dust levels soared to a bad level, with fog and pollution mixing to create a thick haze. The Seoul metropolitan area and the Chungcheongdo provinces in particular saw levels spike to very bad temporarily. The good news is that the air will be clear tomorrow. Seoul's daytime high reached 8 degrees Celsius, about 6 degrees warmer than the average. With cold air moving in overnight, a strong cold snap is expected again around the New Year. On New Year's Day, temperatures could drop to as low as minus 11 degrees in Seoul. Tomorrow morning, Seoul and Daejeon will plunge to minus 3 degrees. Chuncheon starts at minus 5 degrees. Highs will move up to only 2 degrees in Seoul and Chuncheon, 9 degrees in Busan. Dry conditions have been continuing along the East Coast. Please take extra precautions. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up right after this break is our daily panel session. So do stay with us and thank you for now.